Okay. Okay. All right. Welcome back, everyone. We are now going to begin our regular meeting of the Paloma City Council. Today is Monday, October 13th. It's currently 7:12 p.m. We'll bring this meeting to order and do a roll call as soon as we're. Okay. Just sound off.
Mr. Irwin?
Jessica Andrade.
Fred Caseman,
Lisa Nielsen.
Christopher McMorrin,
Diane Crocker.
and we have our lovely staff. Oh, yes, and online.
Yep, Rich Salsa.
On tonight's agenda, we have a presentation by Julie Jackson from our Public Services. Moving on to public comment, our consent agenda, and then under new business, we will have another potential appointment to the Park Advisory Board. We'll do our appointment process for our new ad hoc Public Art Committee. And then we'll talk about giving out money, which is always nice, sort of, except when we don't have enough. And then we'll talk about the city manager evaluation process for the year. And then we'll move on to our island annexation follow-up ordinances and resolutions before ending with reports and correspondence. So with that, if you thought you were done talking about rate adjustments, boy, do we have a treat for you. I'd like to invite Julie Jackson from our Public Services up to talk to us about their rate adjustments.
Well, that was an interesting intro. Good evening. I'm glad to be here tonight. Generally, I come to talk with you about this time of year about the rate adjustment that we have a calculated rate adjustment that we've agreed upon. We've been doing it this way since 2013 for those folks who are new, and we call it a refuse rate index. It really is just an index that is predominantly based on CPI, but also factors in the cost of our operations a little bit better. So I can talk a little bit about what's been happening. I think you know what's been happening in the last year or two, but some of the things you may not be aware of are that we have worked really closely with first DEQ and then their program RMA, Recycling Modernization Act, and now a group called CAA, which is the Circular Action Alliance, which is the PRO, which is the Producer Responsibility Organization. And if that's confusing, join the club. But so basically, that is the group that's putting together this new recycling program in Oregon. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means for citizens in Paloma as well. But we did enact the first steps of that in July 1st this year, and we're very excited about that. That's a pretty big project for the entire state. And I would say for the nation, because I think Oregon's being really watched in terms of the responsibility organization. I think it's a model I know for the program in Colorado. I know Washington is looking to Oregon, and we're just always really proud that Oregon is such a leader in sustainability. We annually make a lot of donations in the community. We estimate about $60,000 in Benton County over the last year in both cash and in-kind services. One of the things we didn't know we could contribute to this year was the flower baskets here in Philomath, and we were happy to make a contribution to that. Fun things we get to do over the years. So those are some of the things we've been working on. If you have the page that says it has 3 different calculations. I don't know if you have a letter first or second page. And each community, when we instituted this way of doing rate adjustments, different communities chose different ways to do it. Philomath and Corvallis do it the same way, and you're the only cities that do it in this way. I suspect it's because you had the same city attorney at the time, But we break it down and there's a different index for all of what we call our lines of business, which are industrial, which are those big drop boxes that you see, commercial, which are the what you would call a dumpster, and then residential service, which are the carts. And they factored in differently. If you look at the industrial, the increase is 2.2%. It is based 100% on CPI. It doesn't factor in disposal cost because industrial customers pay the cost of disposal when on whatever that box is. So we don't factor it into the increase to make it fair. Commercial is 78% based on CPI, 18% on disposal cost, and 4% the cost of disposal at PRC, which is the Pacific Region Compost Facility, where we make compost out of your waste, yard debris and organic waste. I'm just going to put in a plug. I'll be at the farmers market this Saturday with a truckload of compost. If you'd like to see what it looks like and try a bucket of it, you can bring a bucket and I will shovel it in for you and you can take a bucket. I'm always happy to do these events because the leftover goes to my house. And I use this compost all the time, and I think we are making the best compost we've made. We have some improvements at the compost facility. Our biggest challenge there is getting the contamination out. It's primarily plastic, lots of plastic bags, but we're working really hard to do that because none of us want that microplastic in our soils. And then if you look at residential, it is 82% based on CPI, 11% on the cost of disposal at Coffin Butte, and 7% cost of disposal at the PRC. So this year's adjustment for residential customers, which is primarily what you probably hear about, is 3.57%. That is down from the years past as we went through COVID. Prior to COVID, I will tell you those increases were between 2.5% and 3.5% almost every year. And then we saw a rate increase of 9% during COVID, and they were very high. And that had to do with almost solely with the CPI. It was just really, really high. And we did reduce some of those. We didn't ask for the full amount, but we're really glad to see CPI moderating and being in a much more reasonable range. And we're working hard to keep costs down for disposal. It's been a little bit challenging in the last couple of years, but that is the challenge for us. So that's where we are with that. And I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Julie? Look at that, you knocked it out of the park.
You guys are always great. Well, then let's talk about the exciting part, the next page. So this is the Recycling Modernization Act information, and you can see there's a QR code on here. So there are a variety of different languages this is available in if you want to use that QR code. This looks a little bit different. These graphics are created by, I'm gonna use another one, Recycle On, which is the marketing and outreach piece of the Producer Responsibility Organization. This bill intended to make recycling basically the same all across Oregon. And I think that's one of the smartest things that happened because people come from different communities. There have been all these little different glitches. And so now we can say that we're doing the same thing across Oregon. And we're trying to use the same graphics that have been created by them so that we really all feel like this is the same thing. So I'll just point out some of the new things. And this is really for this first phase, all you need to know. So in plastics, it's okay to leave the lids on. And I have been doing this for 20 years, and I've been telling you to take the lids on for 20 years. The technology has changed, and so all bottles and jars go through this machine that just cuts that neck right off. And so it's okay to leave those on. I think the benefit of that, we still want you to rinse it out. But I think the benefit is if there's a little bit of liquid left in that container, the lid on keeps that liquid from spreading onto the paper in the cart. So I think that's a nice change. And then the other really big one is buckets. You can put up to a 5-gallon plastic bucket. And I know we all reuse those, but every once in a while, I like to sit on mine and they crack sometimes. So when they're broken and when they're not usable anymore, that can go right in the cart. And they tell me you don't have to take the handle off because that's kind of hard to do. So put those 5-gallon buckets. You can see a black nursery pot on there, and that is also new. The difference being they need to be nursery pots that are probably about the 2-quart and bigger size. And if you have those at home, you'll notice that those are a different plastic than those, like the 6-pack trays that are kind of, I call them crispy. Those are the ones that they're still not collecting, but anything larger than that can go in. The one that I think is really going to move the needle in terms of collecting more tons of recycling in Oregon and getting that recovery rate up is metal. You can now put in 10 pounds of metal, scrap metal, and they show a big pot there, but it doesn't have to be that. I was cleaning out a closet and I took out some kind of rusty, those hangers that the rod hangs on in a closet, and I started to put them in the box that I saved to take to the metal recycling, and then I realized I could just put them in my cart. So that material is heavy, and currently our recovery rate is based on weight. So those metals should really help boost that recovery rate, and I think get some things that people just didn't know what to do with in the recycling cart. So it should be less than 10 pounds and not larger than 18 inches in diameter. That's pretty big though.
Yeah, but if I could ask a question real quick. My neighbor and I debate on the cans that have labels we can take off. Should we take them off or don't take them off?
So I'll tell you, probably for the last time, my husband hates being the brunt of my discussions. And I think it's a bad example, but he doesn't take those off, and I do. And the difference is, I want the paper to get recycled. So if the paper is separated, it'll get recycled with the paper. If you leave it on the can, that can is still going to get recycled. But that paper is going to burn away when it goes to that metal recycling facility. Everything is super hot there, and it'll just... So if you want the paper, if you're a better recycler, tell him I said that. You're telling stories about me.
Master recycler?
That's right.
There you go. That's right. The next one, paper, if you look at that, there are some things to note on there. Milk cartons, those traditional gable top milk cartons can now go into recycling. Here's what I'm going to tell you about those. I open those all the way, so there's just that square opening, and the reason is that those can get moldy and smelly inside. So you really want to open those, just give them a quick rinse, and then that way they're going to dry inside and it's not going to smell bad in your cart. The other box next to that says broth, that aseptic carton, those, there was a lot of discussion on the state level about whether those should go on the list because they're really a difficult material to recycle. They have metal, plastic, and paper all combined, and so those things have to be separated. But they did make the list. The state and the pro are assuring us that there will be a market they can send those to, and so we're excited about that. And then the other one, that never-ending question about pizza boxes. Pizza boxes, and this is a good question, appropriate for you tonight. So pizza boxes, the problem with pizza boxes is that greasy spot on the box. But, typically there's a greasy spot on the bottom, but the top of the box is clean. So the answer is rip off the top of the box. I have one person who tells me they cut a circle around that grease spot, recycle the rest, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to, really get the best bang for your buck, just rip off that top and put the clean part in and throw away the other part. So that's kind of the deal with that. And then egg cartons, there's been a lot of question about whether pulp paper can or can't be recycled, but absolutely put egg cartons and other pulped paper items in the recycling. I'll just note down below, batteries and plastic bags. Those are really, plastic bags are probably a big source of contamination, or sometimes people want to keep their cart clean and put their recyclables in a plastic bag. That plastic bag is really a big contamination. The facilities where all this material is sorted are highly mechanized, and that plastic gets wound up. They end up having to stop multiple times during a shift to cut plastic out of the machinery. And so just keep that plastic, stretchable plastic out. And then batteries, I just like to mention because batteries, especially the lithium batteries and the embedded batteries and all the toys and light up things, are really prone to causing fires in trucks. And so we want to prevent that as much as possible. I think there was legislation proposed in the last session to have a battery producer responsibility organization that would take those back. It did not make it through, but we hear it's coming back and we suspect it will pass this time. So look for a better solution for batteries. For now, we ask you to bring those rechargeables and lithium batteries to one of the hazardous waste events. And there's one coming up in November. It's always around the 10th of the month, and it's on the website if you want to take advantage of those events. Those are always great events to take advantage of. So that's kind of what I have for you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Gotti.
To clarify about the plastic recycling, is it preferable to have the lids on those containers?
It doesn't really, well, no, I'm going to say yes, because it's going to keep any liquid that might be in there, or it could be greasy liquid that might be in there from getting on the paper, keeping that cleaner to recycle.
And so that was actually going to be the greasier stuff, so like peanut butter jars. You can't ever get the grease out of it. It's okay
You
to
can
put
get
that
the-
in there with.
It is,
As-
it is.
okay.
And, you know, peanut butter jars, I always say, here's my tool, because I like peanut butter. But the other thing I do is I just put it in the dishwasher and I let it go around a couple of times because I don't care if it gets all misshapen for recycling.
I use
But-
vinegar.
Oh, vinegar.
Sorry. I'm a
Vinegar,
recycler.
the answer to almost everything.
I know, white vinegar, it's cheap too.
It's not a competition, but if it were, we'd have an
So, yeah, peanut butter jars, I would definitely do that. That's a great one to ask about for sure. And butter tubs, yeah. Now, I will tell you, the next step, and we hear it's going to be the first quarter of 2027, are these what we're calling pro depots. And I think we're going to find a way to locate one. CAA is working with Philomath, and I'm going to give Chris all the credit for that. You know, I left here last year saying, hey, you might think about a depot in Philomath, and he just got right on it. And we've talked about it quite a bit. We've got a couple of locations that might work. CAA is, which is Circular Action Alliance, is all over it. And then the depot at our location in Corvallis will be a pro depot. And what that means is there'll be new materials that can be accepted there. Things like appliances, possibly mattresses, styrofoam, plastic film. And then the other there are two, I think they're weird ones. Like tub lids, you know, for a cottage cheese tub or a yogurt tub. Those still don't go in the recycling. And they're going to collect those separately because there's a market for that if they can separate that. And then here's the one I think is weird. Those 6-pack tops that, you know, they're little round things that hold like a 6-pack.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes beverages, sometimes my spaghetti sauce comes in a 2-pack with that. And those are a real one-off kind of material, but they will be collected separately and recycled. And we think that is all going to happen in about a year, more than a year from now. So that'll be step 2. So just kind of, we'll inform you and keep you up to date on what the new steps are. But for now, all you really need to know is what's on this sheet. And I think they did a really good job putting this together. The way they wrote it is very clear and really helpful. And we did email this out to all of our customers who provided us with an email. We're going to send this again.
Awesome. No, this is super helpful. Thank you. This is exciting to see.
Yeah.
For many years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot more straightforward. Any other questions for Julie? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate here.
Thanks so much.
And, you know, you're welcome to stick around, but you're also welcome not to stick around. Next up, Then we have public comment. I don't believe we have anyone signed up. Okay. Brad, so it's always, you have an opportunity. Okay, all right. Then we'll move on to our consent agenda, which has the minutes from our work session and meeting on the 8th of September. Councilor Andrade,
I move to approve the consent agenda.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, been moved by Councilor Andrade, seconded by Councilor Irwin to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. I think that was everyone. Then we'll move on to new business, starting with our Park Advisory Board appointment. Flip to here. Okay, page 13. In classic city fashion, we had an opening and we had an applicant. So, ta-da.
I do have
Chelsea,
something.
yes.
It's pretty self-explanatory. You've been through a number of these, but I do want to update some information. Chris did reach out last week to one of the park board members that I thought maybe had moved out of city limits at some point, and so we actually do currently have 2 park board members who live outside of city limits. The code says that we can have 2. This is, however, the only applicant at this time that we have received. So I just wanted to give you that information. Obviously, you can make a different decision than what is in the code, but we do currently have 2 people residing in Benton County, but outside of city limits.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. I guess I mean, I know that this was the only application we received, but I was very appreciative of the application that was submitted. It was very well written and thorough and thoughtful. So
Yasha has been attending, I think, all of the Citizens Academy sessions so far, almost all. Yeah.
So I mean, I think I always would give preference to maybe someone who lives in city limits, but since that is sort of irrelevant here, I'm more than happy to appoint Yasha's if there's any.
My
Yeah,
Way
the nice thing about the code is that we're in charge of the code, so if we do something that's not in the code, it's usually fine because we did it. It's the city charter where we can get ourselves in trouble.
We're
But
not doing that.
yeah,
I think it's a lovely application, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate their, especially if they've been attending Citizens Academy and all that. It seems. Also, Bell Fountain's kind of like.
Pretty close, yeah.
Bell Fountain Road
people
specifically.
in a community. Yeah. Yes.
Had you made a motion or?
I had not, but I would be happy to move that we appoint Yasha Dougal? Yep.
Sure.
Okay, to the Park Advisory Board. Yasha, if you're watching, I
We apologize.
apologize or hope I got it right. Yeah. Anyway, I move that the city council appoint Yasha Dougal to the Park Advisory Board for a term expiring on December 31st, 2026. And so it's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Andrade to appoint Yasha to the Park Advisory Board. Is there any discussion on that motion? I'll just say, as always, thank you for applying and for wanting to volunteer your time and help make our community a better place. That's what Philomath is all about. So with that, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Okay, and Yasha is appointed. Congratulations and thank you. Next, we have more committee appointments. We have the I'm sorry, my brain is shutting down. Ad hoc Public Art Committee. And as a refresher, this was something we had previously approved forming to replace the Streetscapes Public Art Committee and kind of refresh it with alignment with our strategic plan of kind of reinvigorating public art in Philomath. You can see the suggested membership there. And again, in classic City of Philomath fashion, we had 5 open positions and received 5 applications. And again, I think these applications were, for the most part, great. I was pleased with them. Chelsea, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, we were pleasantly surprised that we got a lot of interest, so it was really great. I know that there were several organizations that shared, including Maxivity shared the information, so that was helpful. And my only question is, you had discussed the
Right.
potential of you
Yeah,
being, that maybe it wasn't recommended on here, but maybe
Right.
solidify that as well.
yeah. So then there's the one city council representative, and at our last meeting, I had talked about potentially just appointing myself to do that, at least for the first year, just since I was on as a regular citizen member of the previous art committee. So to sort of give a little, well, that's true. Shucks. Just to give a little continuity of action. Obviously, I mean, Chelsea was involved with that as well, but so is there any discussion on any of these nomination or applications, or does someone want to make a motion?
Are they, do they need to be citizens, I mean, residents of Philomath, or they don't, it's not?
We don't currently have that as a structure, so when we do revisit the overall committee board code subject that Chris has been kind of working on moving along to structure things more similarly, our suggestion was that's kind of a crossroads to decide if this is going to become a permanent art committee, is another organization going to take over the community art organization. So I think that right now, because we have interest, our recommendation is to kind of an interest that does seem qualified to discuss art, which is good as well, to just move forward with the applicants that are currently here. And then I think that there will be some room in the near future. So that's just our recommendation at this time. It's a 2-year term that we're suggesting. But if something changed in the meantime, we could look at that when we get to that place.
Yeah, sure. Councilor Andrade?
I move to approve the slate of 5 applicants and the mayor to serve on the ad hoc public art committee for a 2-year term.
Second,
I think I'm going to take Councilor Caseman just because he motioned his hand first. Big flag. Yeah, okay, so then it's been moved by Councilor Andrade, seconded by Councilor Caseman to approve the slate of applicants and the mayor for the Public Art Committee. Is there any discussion on that motion? I guess I'll just again say that although we are approving the 5 people who applied, that does not diminish the fact that they are all wonderful applicants, and we're very grateful to have them express an interest in this, and I'm excited to see the future of this committee. So thank you to everyone who is going to be a part of this. With that, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
aye.
Okay, perfect. That motion passes unanimously. This is what a good clip we're moving at now. Okay, and now we move on to our grant funding process. So as an overview, we have the 3 grants. We have the utility assistance grants, transient lodging tax grants, and social service funding grants. Utility assistance grants are funded through our utility fees. Transient lodging tax grants are funded through our transient lodging taxes on Airbnbs and motels, temporary lodging, and then social service funding grants are funded through our state shared revenue for like liquor taxes, tobacco taxes, that kind of stuff. all three of these went to the Finance and Administration Committee, which made the recommendations that you're seeing here. We'll go through them one by one. I'm on the Finance and Administration Committee, but I would encourage the other members to chime in with any context you think is important for the council to know about sort of how we arrived on these recommendations, and then see where we land. Mike, anything you want to add to that?
As we go through, we've got some revisions to
Oh,
the
yeah.
PLT, and we have revisions to
Or your supplemental
the
material?
last year. You want to go over those first, or do you want?
I think let's start with utility assistance because that feels easy. But
Well, I was just gonna say, point of
Oh, yeah.
information, I will need to recuse myself from the utility assistance funding grant.
Okay,
So, should I leave now?
sure. Okay,
I'm gonna eat some
Thank you.
pizza.
good. Do we have that in the minutes then?
A two pizza?
Yes.
And then I don't know if we're there yet, but just while we're talking about that type of thing, so, Maxtivity, my wife works for Maxtivity.
Okay. I think you can wait because we're just going to start with utility assistance. But then yes, if we get down the road and you have a potential or actual conflict of interest, just make sure to declare it
Okay.
at that time. And then you can abstain or not, depending on if you think it will affect your vote. But for something like that, where it's a family member who has a financial interest,
Right.
that would be more of an actual conflict of interest.
Okay.
Abstain.
I will.
But then, because then I know like several of us are on boards of different things. Just being on the board of an organization isn't an actual conflict of interest if you're not paid for it. An actual conflict of interest has to involve you receiving some financial benefit. But I don't think any of us are on the board of We Care, as far as I know. So we can at least do this one.
Yeah.
So this one is, maybe we should end with this one because it's wonderful and happy and simple. And they, as you can see, we gave them $5,287.50 last fiscal year. They requested $5,000 this fiscal year, and the committee recommends giving them $10,575, mostly just because we have $10,575 to give out for utility assistance, and they were the only organization that applied. And I have no doubt that they can spend more than they requested if given. I think they just usually request about 5,000 every year. So the committee just decided to kind of put all our chips on that corner. But any discussion or questions on that one? I'll warn you, the next two won't be as fun.
It's a happy, good, easy one.
Yeah.
I've heard some presentations by You Care, and they're very good, and they never have enough money, so I think that's really good.
Yeah, I'm not worried that the money's just gonna sit around and not go to anything. So.
I should have asked this earlier, but I just don't know, do we know why Vinomos didn't apply this year?
Yeah, we sent everything out to the previous.
Sometimes there's management turnaround and other things, so just, that's the reason. We usually get another 5,000 asks from Vinomos. They didn't request anything this year.
Okay.
So that just means we'll just refer that many more people to this organization. So the money will all get spent in Columbus still.
It wasn't that the application was late. They actually did not apply.
They didn't receive one.
Okay, that's the difference.
I would anticipate we will get one next year.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably notice. They'll notice.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Then I'll move that we approve the allocation of the utility assistance funding grants to We Care Benton County for $10,575.
I second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rich, I gotta give it to, we're gonna get you in on the next one.
No, I raised my hand early, actually.
Oh, you, oh, okay, see, that's maybe my bad then. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna take you on this one then. By Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Salsa to approve the utility assistance grants to We Care. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Just want to give away.
Yeah. Okay, seeing no discussion, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
That passes 5 with 1 abstention. And And now can some, oh, there, she's right there. Ooh. Oh, 6, sorry, thank you, yes. Yes. My brain's firing on all cylinders. Good, thank you, yeah. Okay, next up, transient lodging tax grants. Again, these go to fund tourism-related services and activities. The city also keeps a certain portion of the money for our own projects, but then this portion of the money goes to outside organizations that are aligned with the city's strategic goals around tourism promotion and visitors and everything. So we got applications from the Historical Society, Bountiful Backyard, which runs the farmers market, Activity, the Chamber of Commerce, the Frolic and Rodeo, and the Scout Lodge. And this is partly notable just because Bountiful Backyard, Activity, and Scout Lodge have not applied before, or at least not in recent years.
To the TLT.
Yes, to the TLT funding. So this is part of the reason that we had to make some difficult decisions is because we basically doubled the number of applicants. We did unfortunately not double the amount of money to give away, but you can see what we landed on there with recommendations from the committee, and other committee members chime in. I think the first thing I'll just address was the no money at all to Activity for this one. That wasn't because we didn't like them. It was actually kind of the opposite, that the application that they submitted was basically like a perfect fit with one of the city's strategic plan goals. And so we think we're probably just going to kind of work with them on that outside of this grant process and maybe do like a contract or do just some sort of like external work with them on, it was basically to do like a placemaking campaign for Philomath, where the product would actually sort of benefit the city more than it would benefit them, and was kind of something we've already been talking about wanting to do. So we just took them out of the running for the grants because we felt like it was a better fit to do through a separate process. So we didn't recommend giving them some of the TLT grant money, not as a negative mark on the value of their proposal, just it wasn't the right fit for this grant program. And then beyond that, we tried to sort of split it out relatively evenly between the other organizations there. And then in order to kind of make it fit a little more evenly, we deducted a little bit more from the Historical Society just because their request was a little more fluid. It was just sort of ongoing maintenance. It wasn't like we have this project that will cost this much money. So in order to kind of make everything pencil out, we were a little more fluid with that one, not as again, the indictment on the value, but just that's where the committee landed. And unfortunately, you can see no one is getting, I guess the Chamber of Commerce is getting slightly more than they got last year, but everyone else is going down a little bit. And then the last piece for the Scout Lodge, they obviously got a lot less than they requested. They had requested funding to help put in a Veterans Memorial out at the Scout Lodge, or to complete their Veterans Memorial area, which we think is important and we want to support. But the city also just spent a lot of money putting in a separate Veterans Memorial. And so we wanted to try to balance that, wise use of our funds. And then the Frolic and Rodeo and Bountiful Backyard both requested funds to help sort of revamp a website. So we tried to give them similar amounts. So, yeah. Any questions or Councilor Jotting?
To clarify, because I spoke with Mike about this earlier, I don't see anything about the $5,000 for the county, so does it exist?
We don't know.
So-
When we put the budget together, we're not sure we're gonna get the budget from, like, held back and was very conservative. We have 33 budgeted, but we're gonna hold back that 5,000, make sure we get it. Last couple of years, we've been overspending this line.
Oh,
We really were conscious this time. So,
So we haven't been getting,
but we are having our money are collected by the state. All of a sudden it changed on us. And so last year we overspent this line item versus revenue.
And we're just going to do a quick timeout. If anyone would like to declare a conflict of interest, it's a good time to do that.
For instance, the recommended is 0 from activity. Should I still?
You should still.
I should
because
still.
We're discussing
Because
whether
it's,
we want
okay,
to.
then I do that.
Okay.
So it's declare you've got a conflict of interest, you're gonna just recuse yourself.
Yes, I have a conflict of interest. My wife works for activity. I'll recuse myself.
Okay. Then you want to.
Oh, do I physically?
Well, it's best practice.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Just because then you can't like
You're not
make eye
winking at
contact.
people.
We'll go
Yeah.
get some pizza.
Any other,
I got two things.
well,
One,
just really any other conflicts of interest with any of these organizations?
I'll have one
Okay,
next
okay, but not on
because
these.
my company works for PCS.
Okay, perfect. Then we can continue. Sorry, I'm sure we got that taken care of. Yes.
I think you did a great job of summarizing.
sorry,
No.
I still have money questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
We built the budget with it. We thinking we're good, but when we distributed it out, we held back that 5,000. So until we know we get it.
Okay,
And if we don't get it, we're not gonna spend it.
okay,
So that's why we only get the 28,000, we spread it out.
okay. But the other thing is it's split incorrectly. It's supposed to be 413, not 31.
And we can fix that.
So, yeah, just wanted to, because it's on like that in the chart as well. So I just wanted to.
So are you suggesting to change the county
Change
historical society?
Probably to 13.
That,
I so, since that's where the 31 is.
No, we'll do that.
13. So,
That's gotta be part of your motion.
yeah, okay. Any other discussion on?
I just wanted to say your summary was wonderful. And then it's worth noting that we tried to scale everything based on a ratio of the difference between. Or it was clear, I mean, you said we'd keep it relatively the same, but we actually did maths and stuff to try and be as close to having it, like we were like, well, this is how much we did it both with what we spent last year and with what we had with ask versus everything, but otherwise I thought the summary was lovely.
Thank you. Councilor Crocker?
Just a quick question. Isn't PYC usually on this?
They're on
No.
social service.
Okay.
Social service, yeah.
This is
Okay,
like
thank
tourism.
you. I'm done, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion? I can make a motion.
I'll make it.
Go ahead,
Sure,
go
yeah,
ahead.
please.
Okay, do I have to read all these? Yes.
Here you do.
I move to approve the allocation of the transient, not transit, lodging tax funding grants as followed. Benton County Historical Society, $3,413. Bountiful Backyard, $3,000. Maxtivity, $0. Philomath Chamber of Commerce, $2,500. Philomath Frolic and Rodeo, $4,500. Philomath Scout Lodge, $1,000. For a total of $14,413.
Beautiful. Do you want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, perfect.
Oh.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Irwin, seconded by Counselor Nielsen to approve the recommended allocations for transient lodging tax with the correction of $13 on Historical Society. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
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 Okay, that passes 6 ayes and 1 abstention. Brent, if you can hear us, okay, you can come back in. Oh, well, but then you'll need to, but we need to get you on the registry. So, yeah. So now, social service funding grants. Again, these go to social service organizations, sort of community, nonprofits, charities, things that serve the community, and are funded from our state shared revenues. We had applications this year from ABC House, Habitat for Humanity, Maxtivity, Home Community Services, PYAC, and Strengthening Rural Families. Is there any conflict of interest?
No, my wife, I've never said this before. My wife works in Maxtivity, so I will recuse myself.
Thank you very much.
I will also need to recuse myself. My company employed by Philomath Community Service.
Okay. Get out. Thank you very much. And then I'll just say for transparency, I'm the board treasurer of Strengthening Rural Families, but I do not receive any compensation. Are you on the board of PCS? No. Okay. Oh, you are. Okay.
I'm not on the board.
Oh, okay. You're not actually, okay. Then great. Okay. No other potential conflicts? Okay. So then, this one, I guess just first of all, we didn't defund the COG or Bountiful Backyard. They just didn't apply. That was just on there for historical record. And I think this one was actually maybe even a little more straightforward in terms of how we did the calculation. I think, yeah, everyone, well, now I'm confused.
Because PYC is getting a larger percentage of their ask than Benton.
Yeah, so
Habitat. There's a discussion about that.
yeah, I remember. So Habitat for Humanity, we talked about a lot, specifically. Just it was somewhat similar to the Historical Society in that the money that we would be contributing just kind of goes into a big pot that they have a lot of other fundraising sources for. We went back and forth on that just because, obviously affordable housing and providing opportunities for affordable housing is also a big council priority. But in the end, just sort of the way the applications were written, we felt like that made the most sense. And then everyone else to, I think, what they got last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, everyone got just like a 500 to 1,000 less. Except PYC actually got almost the same. I feel like we did more math than it looks like we did on here. We
There's
had
definitely
spreadsheets and
math.
everything. Yeah, but I should have written down what we did. It's somewhere. But yeah, that was basically it. Was we applied basically a similar formula to most of the folks, and then Habitat for Humanity increased a little bit more just given the application that they submitted.
If I'm right, historically, last year's PYC was down from kind of the typical.
Yes.
Or it usually been in the 7,000 to 9,000 range, and
Yeah.
it was a little
Yeah.
abnormally low last year, so all that to count against them. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think we had one more year of history in the committee. That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. Any questions or discussion on these recommendations? Okay. I think I'll just do it then for simplicity. I move to approve allocation of the social service agencies grants as follows. ABC House, $4,000. Benton Habitat for Humanity, $5,409. Maxtivity, $4,000. Philomath Community Services, $5,600. Philomath Youth Activities Club, $6,400. Strengthening Rural Families, $6,000 for a total of $31,409. Is there a second? Second, okay. It's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Andrade to approve the social services agency grants as presented.
Just to float out there, maybe this is a better conversation when our other council members are here, but as state revenue sharing continues to shrink,
Yeah.
our social service agencies are getting less and less money every year. That might be a council discussion at some point in the future, maybe direct towards finance admin committee to maybe look at that split, that percentage that we're taking. Not that we don't need it in the general fund as much, but our social service agencies across the board are hurting for funding, and we're cutting funds to them every year and what they're getting from us. So
We haven't actually voted yet.
Oh,
No,
I'm
I'm just
so
saying for
confused
future.
with
No,
larger conversation. Understood way.
at a later time. At a later time, large conversation.
Separate conversation, yeah. We
Yeah.
don't have specific organizations.
Yep, so just throwing that out there
Yeah.
for now. It's just, that number keeps going down every year.
Which is a good problem. It means people are drinking and smoking less. That's where that money comes from, which is good, but it also means less money to give out to good organizations. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or discussion on that? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Okay, I saw Rich's mouth move and he raised his hand. Okay, perfect. That passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayes, 2 abstentions. Now you can come back in. Just pop in there and tell them to come back in.
Tell them on the way out.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry for that confusion. I was-
No, you're good.
That was my bad. It was just a mistake on our part. Wait, we're not right. We're not.
I was trolling. Okay, so then our last sort of real business before we go to new business is city manager evaluation process. Again, the city manager's contract says that we will evaluate him annually. And there's been, we always have a good rousing discussion about how we want to do this. And then I feel like by the time we get around to it next year, we forget about the rousing discussion we had last year. So we're trying to be better about that. And for those of you who are new to the council this year, I know you haven't gone through this process before. So I'm curious to hear kind of after we do this, how you think it went. But generally how it works is you can see the pages 36, 37, 38, 39, the questions that will get sent out to all of you. So the way the process usually works is the city manager will do sort of a self-evaluation, and then we will all individually complete evaluation of his performance that we see as members of the council. And then I think this year we'll have all of those responses go to Chelsea, and then as HR director, and then we'll come back to a meeting, and without the city manager here, and this is a slight change from previous years, we'll have the city manager just excuse himself to his office for a little bit, or maybe he can go, I don't know, get some coffee, something.
Respond to emails.
Then the city manager will excuse himself for a little bit, and then we'll just talk amongst ourselves and or with Chelsea if we want to, just to have a little time to kind of, this is something the committee talked about a bit, just to kind of present more of a united front and have a chance to kind of figure out what our group feedback is, because it's important, obviously, for the city manager to know how each of us feel about him, but it's also we jointly employ him, which is sort of a unique employer relationship. So I really want to try to make sure that we, as the employer, are presenting what we jointly agree on as, strengths and areas for improvement and everything. And then once we kind of come up with that together, we'll have the city manager, and this would all be an executive session. The city manager would come back in, we'd kind of go over that together with him, and then, that doesn't preclude you from adding your individual 2 cents, and because I know it's important to him as well to know, if there is one counselor he really needs to work on doing something with, that's good to know too. But that's a separate issue from the council as a body. So that's the gist of it. I think you can see here, there's the three things. Just the other thing that on number one, there was a concern last year that just sort of the way the evaluation is written, it was, it led to people being very negative in their responses, just because the questions were like, if you ranked anything, as needs improvement or unacceptable, please explain why. And there was nowhere to ever say, if you ranked something as exceptional or something, please explain why. So then it led to some of us feeling like we were all really mean because we only ever said bad things. So we're trying to just make that a little more open and just, regardless of what you ranked the city manager on a certain category, please explain a little bit about why you said that. And I think the other thing that the committee talked about is some of these can be a lot of things in one, under strategic leadership: defines and communicates the vision, demonstrates responsibility and accountability, shows self-motivation, provides innovative solution, makes decisions and acts under stressful circumstances, makes appropriate, logical, consistent, there's a lot of things in there. So the comment section can also be a good point where maybe you think the city manager does 9 out of those 10 bullet points perfectly, but really needs to work on the 10th bullet point. So you don't want to rank him perfect, but you don't want to rank him bad. Then you can kind of explain in there, like, I think he's doing great in all this. There's just this one thing he needs to work on. And then that will come back and we can all go over that together. Chelsea, anything, or Chris? I don't know.
Yeah, or Spencer as well. I think you hit on the key points. And then we did just like some really slight word changes. I think the HR section was one that you were like, how do we know if it does X, Y, Z? So we did try to reword it to be kind of similar to the finances section, more about supporting that as the city manager. So hopefully that wording hits, but we did talk about that. So those have been changed on this draft, and you'll see that coming out to you. And then did you have anything additional?
I think the specifics, I think what I heard from Chris is that it matters to him when you can explain to him what you mean by the thing you're saying. So like when we were in this conversation, I felt like X, Y, or Z. I think experience that sets us up in a position to be able to have, like, if there's a problem, we can establish smart goals that start by being specific, measurable, and like instead of just like, and that it's not that it shouldn't be a personal experience, particularly personal experience in the sense that it's like, I don't like the way that Chris does this. It's a measure of effectiveness, not necessarily your personal feeling about how, and I don't think that's particularly a problem this year, but I'm just saying, like, if he's meeting the objective, that's great. And it's not necessarily like, I didn't like the way that he met the objective. It's like, is he checking the boxes and then sufficiently that he can?
Yeah.
Teresa?
And I think in the same way, when I see changes that are made that have made a positive impact on the council, I think it would be helpful for him to know the change made with this in regards to this specific area benefited me as a counselor because I then understood. I think that would reinforce to me, oh, that change was good for maybe just only Councilor Nielsen, but it was helpful in her, and a reasoning why. Because that may also be beneficial for him to know, not just the other, when you were mentioning all the bad. I think there've been some good things that I would like to say on this point to help maybe reinforce me that for me alone, maybe that was helpful and encouraging.
Yeah, and I really heard him say specifics,
Yes.
positive or negative. So like, and so if we should just write a little something about it. And then we're not please rate in this time.
Right, we're
Correct.
going to talk about looking at that next year to maybe.
But that's just
Fine.
of note that it won't be a
Mhm.
part, and we talked about it
Yeah,
and agreed that that is an appropriate course of action.
yeah.
And the timeline for that, that's being, it says distributed tomorrow? Is that the date we're still online with that
Yeah,
one?
this is ready to go, so unless you said, let's scrap this whole thing, we can stick with the timeline.
I think the only thing, when you distribute this tomorrow, can you put like at the top what the things were that we said last year? I know it's in the press release somewhere here, but like.
Oh, the goals.
Yeah, they just, because there's a few of the questions about like, you know, responds to council goals or something, you know, or takes feedback or something. It's like, what was the feedback? I don't remember. So having that kind of at the top, like, oh yeah, he did do that, or well, it still needs work. I think that would be helpful. But Councilor Crocker.
I have a question. I remember bringing this up last year, and maybe this is not meant to be anonymous, but when it says evaluation provided by, and it has our date and our time that we turned it in, and then when we see the comment, the date and the time, it's quite clear who made those comments, even though it's not addressed in the comments. Is that what we want?
To us, like,
You talked about that last year.
HR best practices, you don't want anonymous
Right.
feedback. You want to be able to have that assignable. If there was anything that ever came to that, you'd want to put Chelsea in a position where she's trying to guess of
I don't know.
a
who
concern that got
submitted
raised or
that.
something there. So I think we want to have it identified, if not publicly, at least that through the system, that we'd be able to say who made what
Certainly
comments.
she could know, but.
It wouldn't need to be in the printout. per
Yeah,
se.
I think we can put it out in a different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do
And
that.
I forgot to say, and it's in for the new folks especially, all of this is confidential and would be an executive session. And then after we come back and talk with Chris, then we usually appoint like the mayor and a councilor, maybe the mayor and the council president or something to draft up sort of a press release, and then just a sort of like, here's what the council's, we don't go through all the details, but just sort of like broad strokes, like, you know,
Here's where the manager is succeeding.
yeah, you know, here's how things are going. We evaluated him, and here's what we think, kind of thing. And there's an example of that in here. So that's the public facing side of it. Yes, Councilor.
Just one comment. I know it's kind of a different dynamic than the regular working world, as it were.
Sure.
But in terms of what you said, if the first time that we shared something with Chris or anyone else is in an annual evaluation, that'd be a failure on our part. If there was something that significant that you almost wanted to be anonymous, we should have shared that with Chris beforehand. So I know it's an interesting dynamic, but just to throw that out there.
Yeah, and I'll say, not to skew the the evaluation, I know that significant strides have been made in terms of having more regular one-on-one meetings with counselors, and I think just as a general rule, that's a great time to share feedback. I know, you know, usually we go over the agendas and everything, but like if there is something that's really been bothering you, or something that, you know, you think needs improvement, or something you thought went great, that's a great time to share that too. And then you can also put it in here. But yes, you know, it never feels good to think you're doing a great job and then you get some evaluation and everyone's like, you suck, or, you know, you're worried you're going to get fired and everyone hates you, and then your evaluation is like, no, you're doing perfect and everyone loves you, and you're like, what? So yes, Councilor.
Yeah, two things. I don't mind either way about the anonymity thing, but if more people find it more comfortable, I think, like, that's fine. But I think it would be more important for anyone outside of council for the future process for like the 360 evaluation, just because of how closely we work with this, and also it's kind of hard to keep it anonymous.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So like I have not, but yeah.
I
So
feel like I can usually tell who wrote it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that was Jessica.
And then the other thing was, just really reiterating the comments thing. I don't know how many people went to the city manager evaluation best practices thing. Well, yeah, we had I think at the conference, but they really emphasized the idea of having the comments and the score, like the comments to back up the score and vice versa, so that like not only is it a way of being able to talk about all of the good things as well, but also it holds accountability to those who are giving a score so that it doesn't become weaponized. And so I think that is also important to note because it's an accountability on both ends. So.
Yeah. But
I had just that was the thing I wanted. Most of it's reiteration, I suppose, but prizes on here that we talked about that. Well, I didn't. The presenter talked about that pretty extensively at the conference. Like this is meant to be sort of a formalization of the ongoing dialogue and things that we've been working on, not an anonymous Dropbox to anonymous wasn't the right word, not a Dropbox to complain about the city manager out of the blue, right? Like he should be knowing. And one of the things they kept saying is that as a leader, it's our responsibility to have tough conversations with the people that are elective supervisor. It's our job to be clear and direct and concise with Chris and or any of the staff, but in this case specifically, so that we're saying this is what we want and is he doing it or not? And apparently they love the numerical score. There was a little bit of debate, but so you got to have the number so that you can quantify it, but that it really needs to be paired with a comment that explains why. For to have it be the most effective tool possible.
Yeah. I feel like it's like if you turn in an essay and then you get the essay back from the professor and all you have is just a score. That's a lot less helpful than like, them being like, oh, you should have written it this way or like delete this, but you actually know what you should have done better as opposed to just like, you did bad.
Or if we were like, yep, he's great.
Right.
Like, well,
what's great?
What is he doing?
Absolutely.
And
Tell me more.
Yeah. No, like in my job, like sometimes I'll do something that my boss really loved, but she'll just forget to tell me that she really loved it. So then I won't do it the next time. She's like, why didn't you do that? And I'm like, well, I didn't know you liked that. Yeah. So that's important too. Councilor Crocker.
Just for the record, I didn't write anything I wasn't. It just took me aback. And I've done evaluations before that were anonymous, so I was kind of thinking this would be more. I didn't realize, but I wasn't ashamed of anything I wrote.
Yes, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not working.
Well, and again, to the point of the whole conversation, like, I think you'll find when you read our written responses, like, hopefully there won't be that much in there that will even surprise each other. Hopefully it shouldn't surprise Chris, but also like, I feel like I have a pretty good sense of how we all feel about the city manager and everything too. So the anonymization isn't as important because it's like, oh yeah, I've heard Diane say that before. Or like, oh yeah, I can't.
Wait till we evaluate the mayor. That's going to be like.
Yes, Chelsea.
Yes, and I just want to be very clear about how that question is worded about comments. You can put your thoughts in there, whether there's something to improve or something that you're praising. Last year, we tried to word it in a way that everyone would get that, but last year there was some hang up on just technically following exactly what it said. And then some people were like, hey, I'm writing whatever.
Right.
So just so it's very clear, those are places that you can support your scores either way.
Yes,
Can I
Chris.
have my comment? I'm just going to recommend to your point that you started with, Mayor, that maybe the Finance Admin Committee look at this earlier in the year, although that's a busy time of year, but after the evaluation, things are fresh in mind, that might be a good time to gather feedback from the council on how the process went and actually look at it then. Because we wait 9 months and then we go to do it again. It's like, what did we say last year we're going to improve upon? And I go back to finding my notes and trying to figure out what we were going to tweak. So as you're going through the process, if there's things that you think of that could improve the process, jot those down and maybe just submit those directly to the mayor, I guess, and then we can have Councilor Irwin, wanted to say Spencer, sorry, Councilor Irwin, and as chairing the Finance Admin Committee, maybe we just do that early on.
Yeah.
Wait till October to start thinking about this.
Yeah. I also, and this is maybe a separate conversation, but I know in your contract, we do this annually. Part of me almost wonders if we should just do like a little check-in in whatever, like March or something of like, here's what we said in November, how's it going? Or, would that be helpful?
Well, I was going to bring that. So we've structured some of this around the strategic plan now.
Right.
My ability to do that. Well, the strategic plan is budget year, not calendar year.
That's true.
So does it even make sense to do it in October, November, or do we just bump it out and start doing it like in August, September, right? After the fiscal year's ended and we can look at the strategic plan and the things that we said were getting done, and it might be a better time to do the evaluation altogether. But again, Finance Admin, I think, talk about that come January, February. And
I would think it's appropriate to see on that. I would like.
Yeah, I agree.
Depending on the length of the scope of a project that I've assigned to an employee, I would check in with my work. I would, whether it's 3 days or say, do you have everything you need? Is this working out? Do you understand what I'm, all that. Follow-up conversation. And I think if our intent is to have Chris be as effective as possible, have city manager Workman be as effective as possible, we should make sure that he's, that he has everything he needs.
Yeah, and I appreciate the feedback. I'll just say, I attended that session at the league as well that they put on at the conference, and I feel really good about our process. I think it's evolved over the years, and it's in a spot where I'm very comfortable with where it is. I feel like I get good feedback, but it's not as overly burdensome and taxing as it used to be. We used to have a lot more comment boxes we used to fill out, and it was pretty onerous, and to go through it was very onerous. And so I think we're at a good spot now, but it can continue to be improved, right? And so I'm open to obviously getting the feedback from you. But again, I'll just petition if there's things that we can do to improve the process. Maybe don't put that in these comments. Let's just save those comments so we can talk process with Finance Admin later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just really say to please take this seriously. We only have technically 3 employees, but in practice, mostly 1 employee. So I think, this is one of this, like I would say, passing the city budget and supervising the city manager are the 2 most important things that the council does. So, my point in that is please don't wait until like the night this is due and then just go click like, 3333333 submit. That's not helpful. So, okay.
BC.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, go 5.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot how many things. Okay, so before we wrap this up, just does this all look good? Is there anything? I mean, just in looking through this, was there anything, especially for some of our newer counselors, like was there anything that you didn't see in here that you're like, oh, this is an important part of the job that's not in here? Does this all feel good?
I wish at the league session, they talked about providing your contract. I was like, I don't think I usually do that. So I provided my current contract because I recognize there's new council members that have probably never read my contract. So I appreciate that from LOC. I was like, oh, you noted.
I was pleasantly surprised at the conference that it sounded like they were describing the process that we had talked about in finance and admin. I was like, nice.
Change.
Yeah, like it feels good to know that they're on that
You're awesome.
you know, where we were within that, there were some,
There's some hard opinions there.
yeah, and some of people did like a whole lot of research or up there, just right, or maybe bear with.
Of course, it's a mama bear.
Baby bear.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
baby bear.
Oh, it's baby bear, that's just right.
baby
Right.
bear's kind of just right, we gotta.
Are you the youngest?
Okay,
Come on, y'all. Let's get
and I thought I was the tired one.
Yeah. It is.
Okay, so then we're good to go ahead with this. We'll expect Chelsea will send this out to us tomorrow. Perfect.
You want to make a motion? You've made a motion in the past, but.
Okay, just to drop the timeline.
Drop it.
I move that the council and staff proceed with the 2025 city manager evaluation process as presented and discussed.
Second.
By Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Crocker to proceed with the evaluation process. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. Now we get to move on to some more official business. Not that this wasn't official, but so now we're back to our island annexation.
And there, can I just real quick on that? You should have a confidential piece
Yeah.
that was included. That's last year's city council members' individual responses to each of the questions. So kind of use that if you're referencing back to previous years. Might be good for previous council members or new council members to help identify what were some of the things talked about and discussed for future years. So, but just keep that confidential. Bring it back or destroy it when you're done with it is fine. If you write on it, bring it back and turn it into crystal. Okay. Sorry, thanks. I hadn't mentioned that in your.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, now we're moving on to our island annexations. Again, these were already approved in spirit by the council at a previous meeting. And we had directed staff. Did Crystal make a face?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if Crystal came up? Yeah, I know.
This is the land use approval process.
Yeah. So yeah, the first chunk of this has already been approved, but per our city charter and the sort of carve out in state law, even after the land use process is complete, they still have to be referred to the ballot. So that's what we're looking at now, is ordinance 892 here, is the ordinance that annexes these properties. So this is what would basically go into effect if resolution 2425's ballot measures pass. And jump in if I say anything wrong. The weird part about it is that they all have to be separate ballot measures, which is so frustrating. But I would love if it's like people just specifically like don't like one person, so they like, we're gonna annex this guy's house and no one else's house. But
Yeah, it's by territory.
right, territory,
So
sorry.
each territory, on most of them, individual property tax lots are the territory. But there's two of them where the territory has three individual tax lots. And so what they don't want is they don't want you to vote on the one in the middle, but both on the side don't come in. The whole
To create more
area
island.
creates an island,
Yeah.
and so that island territory all gets voted on as a group.
And that's what we got into a little bit at our land use.
With the claim that I'm not an island because I'm an individual
Right.
tax lot, and the two on either side of me are also islands. It's like, no, the three of you combined make up the island territory. So we were very clear on the language.
I
Yes.
think we should note this particular thing when we're talking about creating a policy to immediately annex new islands or start the process. Because we wouldn't, they pretty much always then be a territory individual to the causation of whatever. You follow what I'm
I
saying?
do, but that just get, I don't know if we have time to do this. We might. So refer a charter amendment in May to say that we no longer have to refer these to the voters. Because I just feel like the voters might agree that they don't want to deal with this anymore when they open their.
It's a big lift to do between now and then, but it's definitely something we could look at in future charter amendment.
Even if by matter of policy, as soon as we started the referral to voters,
That is a
They'll-
policy we could do.
they will be within territory because it typically, I guess, unless we had several annexations in one cycle, right? But wouldn't it be like we annex this strip by the road in, and so there's an island created here, but when it'll go on, that'll just be one. So,
The municipal, we can update the municipal code, which would be a code update, which
Right.
isn't changing the charter, which goes out to the other people, but we could do a code update that would require island annexations to be annexed at the time that the adjacent properties being annexed. So that's a code language issue that we could deal
we
with.
would simplify it for now. I agree with the mayor that it would be lovely if we.
I'm just thinking, and I get if we can't do it, I'm just thinking like this ballot to put that on, because everyone's gonna open their ballot and be like, why do I have to vote on these? And then it's like,
Especially
if
if
you
we
vote
could
on
have it as
this,
a
you'll
measure
never have to vote
behind
on
all
them
the.
again. But,
I just think it's a heavy lift between now and then to get done.
okay.
How much time do we have to do?
A few months,
Not much.
but
We also have the other ballot item.
yeah, I'd rather make that a priority and shoot that out in there.
Okay. I guess. It'll say island properties in the ordinance. Should we change that to island territory
Where?
in the title? And then in the text, it says 7 territories containing 10 properties.
Yes.
Island properties isn't incorrect, but
Island territories of island.
territories is probably more correct.
Agreed.
So change island territory.
Our city attorney was fine with the way it's written, but I don't think territories would be incorrect either, so.
Well, it might help reduce confusion a little too around territory property.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on on either of these documents?
It says that it's a Robert Workman that wrote in the letter opposed, but there's no Robert Workman listed on here as an owner. There is a Nathan. So is that a relative? What, I mean, where is it?
It's a relative of the Workman properties. I don't know if he's not the listed legal owner. Sometimes this is picking up one of the owners. If there's multiple owners, it doesn't list all of them. So it might be a joint ownership thing. But the letter did come from Brian Workman. No, not Brian. What was the name? Robert. Who reminds you a lot of Robert?
I learned this randomly.
Okay.
If I can add a little procedure in here.
I think we're gonna have to title first.
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways to, I'm just speaking specific to the ordinance, and we'll do the ordinance first. The ordinance did not get publicly noticed a week ahead of our meetings, which we normally do, so that it allows us to adopt it by reading the title only and then voting on it. If it's unanimous, then it passes. If it's not unanimous, it comes back to a second meeting. We read the title only again, take a vote. If you read through the charter, anytime any council member can request that the ordinance be read in its entirety before it passes or before it's considered or voted on. Traditionally, we kind of just read the title and everybody's good with it and we move forward. And for tonight, we could either just take a look at this draft before next month's meeting. We could put out a week ahead of time. And then next month, we could just read title only, take a vote on it. If it's unanimous, we can pass it next month. Alternatively, the charter also does allow a way that you could approve the ordinance tonight and not have to bring it back next month to look at again, which would be to read the title and then to read it in its entirety tonight, and then you can vote on it tonight. And if it's unanimous tonight, then we approve it and we don't have to bring it back next month. It's kind of my preference.
I kind of want to try the speed reading.
I asked Crystal to prepare for a speed read. And so I think we have a digital speed reader and a commercial speed reader that can read through it if the council's comfortable with it. Again, there's nothing wrong with it next month. It's just another thing on the agenda that we have to spend another 5 or 10 minutes going through again next month. And if everybody's comfortable with this language and moving, we've enabled a way that we can just get this approved tonight.
We don't have to notice it. That's the big difference, right?
We don't have to notice a week ahead of time to the public. It went out to notice in our packets like normal, 3 or 4 days ahead of time, but not the week.
You would have to read.
We'll read through it twice.
Title.
Yeah, we'll read the correct title twice. So is there anybody on the council who's opposed to reading this by title and then by its entirety tonight and taking a vote on it?
Nope.
Okay,
I kind
can
of
we,
want to watch Christopher Lauren.
I think we should have me and Crystal read it and see who gets to the bottom.
Crystal's going to get to
I
the
think
bottom.
Crystal
Yeah.
should.
No, I'm not Crystal's robot. I'm
Crystal's
saying
robot is going to get.
a final question, if I could, Mayor, could you ask for a straw vote if anybody's going to likely oppose the ordinance before we do this? Because if somebody's going to oppose it, it'll waste everybody's time if it, right? So,
anyone hate this?
Let's hear it first.
all right. Okay, Crystal, I think with that, if you want to,
Read the title
The
first.
title, okay. An ordinance proclaiming the annexation of certain described island territories to the city of Philomath and amending the Philomath Comprehensive Plan map and zoning map designation for properties in the city of Philomath. Ordinance 892.
Okay, so I'm gonna play this, and it has the old title on it, but the rest of it, just follow along. Correct.
Follow along with your read along.
Yep.
It's kind of messy.
That's too quiet.
I feel like I'm at work.
Oh, is it not gonna play it? Oh, no.
No, it's gonna play it, just,
I'm saying.
it's too quiet.
Being coach.
Okay, here we go.
Favorite.
We did add 9 seconds to it. We decided the version that was 9 seconds short.
Too fast. Okay,
Roll call vote. I think no questions.
yeah, Counselor Salsa.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that I didn't hear any of it. So for the benefit of this being recorded, I just wanted to let you know that it actually wasn't out loud, but I have read this materially while this was going on. So, but I did want to acknowledge it wasn't on this recording.
Huh. Is that an issue as far as if we said we read it and it wasn't broadcast?
It's been read in the meeting. It's your meeting. So the fact that broadcast didn't work is a little irrelevant.
In the packet last week.
How do we feel about that, team?
It was read at the.
Okay.
I think it's okay.
All right.
Not required to stream, correct? We offer this.
I don't know what the state law is about this.
So the charter says, except as subsection 3, which is below allows, which we're not doing, both reading by title only, an ordinance may be enacted at a single council meeting by unanimous vote of the councilors present after read first in full and then by title.
All right. Guess that works. So then, should I read it by the title again?
Yeah.
Okay. An ordinance proclaiming the annexation of certain described island territories to the city of Philomath and amending the Philomath Comprehensive Plan Map and Zoning Map designation for properties in the city of Philomath, not Philomath. Ordinance 892. Can we do a roll call vote?
Andrade,
Yes.
Crocker,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Caseman,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Salsa,
Yes.
Horn.
Yes. Ordinance 892 adopted unanimously. And now we have resolution 2524, ballot title placing properties for annexation to the city on the May 19th, 2026 primary election ballot.
So if these don't get posted ahead of time, we have to read them backwards to frontward. This one should be fine. I'll note that the exhibits for both the resolution, the exhibits that are behind the resolution are actually for the ordinance. They're exhibit A and exhibit B. So this just got put in the packet incorrectly. I didn't label them right, so that's my bad. But the attachment A for the resolution is the same staff report, which is the same. And then the second, the reference is a reference to the B. I lost it, sorry. Is it B or is it just A? Repeats, it's the same staff report for both the ordinance and the resolution.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
We just didn't print them off twice and put them behind the ordinance and the resolution. I just both behind the resolution.
Okay.
They're the same documents.
And we don't need, do we need to read out this whole resolution? No.
Nope, resolutions can just be a motion.
Is there a motion?
Motion on.
Not.
Ballot title placing properties for annexation to the city on May 19th, 2026 primary election ballot. All right, it's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Nielsen to approve resolution 2520. Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
All right, resolution 2524 is adopted. And then that brings us to our management report. So, managers, anything you'd like to highlight in there?
Oh, I'm super happy with the Citizens Academy that we're going through. We've got 3 sessions to go.
Average of 12.
Average of 12, but upwards of over 20 people in total that have participated in the different sessions.
What do you think made the difference?
I think having Crystal and Chelsea involved this year has really helped. A lot more interest. Yeah, I mean, we publicized a little bit more. We definitely were more creative about not requiring people to submit applications ahead of time. I think what we've seen, well, I don't think that was as much as having to cancel the last 2 years, but in years past, even when we've started with 14, we've ended with 6, you know? And so I think as it kind of dwindled down and then people didn't feel like they could join halfway through. And we're not seeing that. Some of the sessions here in the middle and the end have been really well attended because people can feel like they've just come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're having fun going up.
How many more sessions?
3 more.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got, this Thursday is the school district and library.
Okay.
And next week, we're talking planning. And I think we combine planning, mostly just planning land use decision process. And then the last session is at the museum where we welcome all the nonprofit organizations, service organizations. They all come and do a little 8-minute pitch about what they do and how people can volunteer with them and whatever. And we do some nice little hors d'oeuvres and stuff, make it kind of a nice evening. And then they'll be here. Anybody who's done 7 of the 9 sessions will come here in November and get their certificate of completion, which we've really been hyping up, haven't we?
Mhm.
So they're very coveted certificates of completion. So no, I'm really pleased with that. I love doing the Citizens Academy. I've really been disappointed the last 2 years. We've not been able to do it just so we only had 2 or 3 people sign up. And it is a bit of a lift. And not just for city staff, but when asking fire and library, school, everybody else to participate, I felt like 2 and 3 wasn't really enough to make the ask even. So I'm really happy that we're able to do it this year. I really, really enjoy it. A lot of the same feedback, like, oh, I'm so glad I've done this. I've learned stuff I never even knew I didn't know. Where would you learn this stuff if you didn't come here to do it? Where would you learn this stuff? You know, so it's been really, really good. And I've sat in sessions with Chelsea and with Crystal and sat in with the police one was really engaging. Public Works, Kevin and Gary did a great job on theirs. It was very entertaining and lively and kind of gave everybody a hard time. I think they were here till after 9. The sessions go 6 to 8. I think there were people here after 9 o'clock last week because they did a tour of the plant and then stuck around here and had other questions. And anyway, it's been good. So not to overcast everything with that, but really, really happy with the results there. And looking forward to Thursday night. The other strategic plan items that have been put out there, expect to be getting bids back on, I guess I'll start at the top rather than at the bottom. We're just in the waiting strategy with Commonwealth right now. Did attend a couple of sessions at the LSC conference. I've done a few more readings as well on deed restrictions for property and encumbered property. So feel like we'll be in a good position going forward there. Our city attorney's got quite a bit of experience doing those, and so I've got a lot of confidence in her and her firm's ability to represent us well on that. When an offer does come in, we're getting close on the visioning project, Ford family. Chelsea and I have met with them. They're on board, just submitted a kind of final scope, and we're working that a little bit, and hopefully that will result in a little bit of funding coming our way. And I think I mentioned to this group already, the timetable there is to try to get paperwork done in October. By November, have a date set for January to kick off, and then use November, December as kind of promoting time, get through the holiday season, and then have a start date in January to kind of do a celebratory kickoff event for everybody, explaining the process ahead of time and all that. So I feel that's making good strides. And again, expecting my last couple of bids to come in this week on the environmental cleanup at 14th and Main Street, the city-owned property there, so we get some cleanup taken care of. Those are urban renewal funds that'll be paying for that. What's not noted here is we also got some additional money from Campo. This is regional transportation dollars that get funded through ODOT to our region. And it looks like we've got, I think it's about $80,000 that we'll have to pay for our strategic action plan, which is kind of like our transportation system plan, except for it specifically looks at safety concerns for bicycle pedestrian throughout the community. It's going to feel a lot like our traffic safety and circulation study that we did with the school district. So it will ride on the coattails of that effort, but this is the formal ODOT approved action plan that they need to see. It has to have some very specific things in there that our school traffic circulation study doesn't have. But anyway, we'll be getting a consultant on board, and between now and the end of the year, we'll be kicking that project off. Mostly it's going to be looking at some of those planning documents that have already taken place, but more than likely it'll be a survey that will go out and some work that'll go into getting that document done. Once that document's done and approved by ODOT, then we'll be able to apply for funding for projects identified in that plan, which has kind of been our roadblock with getting additional funds for like 17th Street crossing and some of these other things that are identified in this circulation study, but we don't have the funding for it unless we go to ODOT for some state grants. And ODOT looks at us and says, "Is it your action plan?" We say, "We don't have one. We have a school circulation traffic study." And they said, "Needs to be an action plan." So a little bit of semantics, but trying to get a quick fix for that using some state money.
Just on that, do you know if the county will be looped in? Just because I know when I've mentioned our school circulation thing to the county, they're always a little like butthurt that they weren't part of it. Understandably, I mean, because Clemens is on a county road, but
Well, likely, one of the bids I have in is from the same consultant that's doing the county and Corvallis's safety action plan.
okay.
They'll probably, well, I don't know, we'll see how the bids end up coming out, but they're one of the groups that I've reached out to get us a proposal. So if we do end up using them, there'll be a lot of crossover and similarity there, and they'll be involved, yeah.
And then do you have any updates on just per our work session topics, the timeline for the water treatment plant? What's going on with that?
So last week, we got a request from the state to get them a draft copy of the RFP. And I forwarded that on to our engineers and said, I need that this next week. So this week, I'll be getting a draft copy to send on to the state to review. They're looking for all of the ARPA clauses and all that stuff to be in there, and they need to start the review. So I'm hoping that is a little bit of stimulus to get that project moving. I know work's being done. My general statement about that is I think that the engineers are spending a lot of time working on items that they've seen come up in other projects that they don't want to come up in Philomath, and so they're taking extra time to get it into the RFP. So when the RFP goes out and gets released and approved, those discussions have already taken place and there's already documentation there on how it's going to be happening, rather than sending the RFP out, getting a contractor on, then having to negotiate with that contractor and all those little things that have to be done. So whether we're doing it after the RFP is released or before the RFP is released, the work needs to be done. I'm kind of at a point now where it's like, stop, we'll do everything else that we haven't gotten the RFP yet after, but the RFP's got to go out. So they've got some pressure on them. In my mind, I've got like a couple weeks it needs to be out, and we'll have the RFP out, get somebody in contract, and then we can negotiate with them on the little stuff later if we need to still, so.
Okay. Great.
Hopefully I'm not expressing too much frustration. That's a project that I've been being told for the last several months.
Right.
By the end of the month, we'll have it ready to go out for bid, and here we are.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Nielsen.
May I ask something about Public Works? The last bullet point on Public Works you mentioned. Kickoff expected within the next few weeks. Does that mean the beginning or what is it? What do they mean by kickoff? I mean, we're going to see progress or?
We should, yeah, so they have to,
Speaking of projects, we've been told.
yeah, with the stormwater project, they have to do a traffic for all the freight and vehicles that travel in chapel, because that chapel will be shut
Right,
down
right.
for some time. And I think Benton County said minimum 2-week notice for that. I honestly didn't communicate a lot with Nippon last week, and then I was out sick most of today at home, so I'll have to follow up and see. But as of writing this last week, the expectation within the next few weeks, they would be ready to start that project. So just the storm.
And is that a long, I mean, is that just
I think
what's the
it's
duration
a
of that?
week or so. I mean, I think it's, so that they're actually impacting the road, I think it'll be about a week.
And it's something that can be done, started and finished, or is something that'll be partially done? I just want to know, completed or just a partial piece of that completed?
They'll do the piping itself, not an engineer. The piping itself and the road's got to be reconstructed over it. The road constructed over it will be temporary because the whole road's got to get repaved with phase 3. But they will be doing over the portion there some temporary, and that's when they're supposed to be repaving all of 16th Street is when that's happening. So the piping, all that would be permanent. There'll be temporary road over it, and that temporary road should last until the entire road gets redone. But otherwise, that will be, get it done and be done with that portion of the project.
And the lot line change,
Making a lot of progress. Yeah, I'm really happy. Our city planner, Laura, give her all the credit. She's been right on top of those. I have expanded the city's role in there a little bit, and then I'm having invoices come right to the city for those. Any of the appraisal fees, any of that kind of stuff's coming to the city, and the city's gonna turn around and bill Mill Pond for those. The city's got a little bit more leverage than individual property owners have. And so I've opened up our exposure a little bit there just to try to get those done. But mostly I don't want communication with Mill Pond to be in the circle of things that are delaying that project. And so with that third wheel out of the way, Laura's doing a great job of just buzzing through those, getting lot line adjustments assigned, getting appraisals completed as needed, getting the new legal descriptions in place. So yeah, a lot of real good progress there. I don't have any great timelines in my mind, but I'm seeing emails daily on progress there. So she's right on top of those.
I've heard good things about it.
It's a very good thing.
Very good things about it and the work that's being done.
Yeah. Yeah, couldn't be more pleased with our planner we've brought on. They're doing a great job for us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other, anything you ready?
Can you remind me what the wastewater lagoon generator project is? Is it a generator for the lagoon?
Yeah, it'll keep those up and running when we have power outages, so we don't have to. Right now, staff have to come back in manually and they have to kick those back on and stuff. So yeah, that new generator will eliminate a bunch of that extra staff time we're paying for when we do lose power. We don't lose power a lot, but
Yeah.
several times a year.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, thanks. For whatever reason, I was reading it as like using like maybe the heat to like generate
nothing that
energy
fancy.
or something.
No, nothing that fancy.
Like they're doing in what, Denmark, I think it was? Like,
Those are expensive.
We don't have Denmark money.
Do you have anything else on the staff management plan?
No.
Wonderful. Any other questions for the management team? Oh,
Not
yes,
a-
Councilor Jordan.
Not a question, but if we're gonna do council report.
Oh, well, I guess before we do, any other questions? Okay, then yes, council reports.
I went to the Benton County Historical Society meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was great to go to their meeting. But I wanted to highlight two of their gallery exhibits going on here at the Philomathoregon Museum. There's one that is going until October 21st of this month, called Native Innovations. And it's recognizing and celebrating engineering and innovations designed and used by First Nations in Oregon. And so that sounds really cool. I haven't checked it out yet. I'm looking forward to it. And then the other one is the, it was right there. Oh, there it is. From airwaves to algorithms, the evolution of family media and the evolution of family media. And that one is going until April of next year. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of old technology, some computers and phones, and it feels like a blast from the past. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
And there is something also from them. Did they mention the Dia de los Muertos?
Oh, yeah, that's right. At the Corvallis Museum on,
November 1st, 3 to 7 o'clock.
thank you.
Teamwork, look at that.
And
Perfect.
I had
Yes.
thought that I heard there was a veterans display there right before Veterans Day.
If there is, I believe it would be at the Corvallis Museum. I'm mainly focused on the Philomath one.
Sure. I thought it was full first of all, but
Where is the Corvallis Museum? I don't even know where that is.
Downtown on Second Street. It's the big new building.
You should go. It's beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful.
Like, it doesn't quite fit in Benton County. It's too fancy. Yeah.
Oh, and I guess,
Beautiful buildings.
yeah, and I guess it was nice to hear, they talked a bit about their, or when I met with the director, she had said, explained some of her ideas and or the ideas for revamping the Philomath Museum and to try to connect it to and try to do more, wow, I can't word right now either. To have more events and stuff here, since a lot of the programming is out in Corvallis. And I know she was talking with Chris about the discussions we had previously with the area-wide plan of trying to have like a gathering space. And so looking forward to hearing more about how we can work together with that and more community building spaces.
Awesome.
Not building, but building community.
Why not both?
Not too much some building.
Yeah. I'll say for my liaison roles, if you missed it, Aaron Gudge stepped down as chair of the school board. And so now Tom Klipfel is the chair of the school board. So I feel like I'm in high school again. And, I don't have a lot of other school district updates because I was not able to attend their meeting, this most recent one. And then I just went to the fire district board meeting earlier today. And they're in the middle of union negotiations and are working on their levy proposal for the May ballot. So that will be along with our 7 annexations. They'll have their levy proposal, and then it sounds like they are still doing the fire hydrant testing for this year, but are still not happy about it. But Operations Chief Eddie said he had been having some good conversations with Public Works about that. So I think it'd be good for us to kind of keep a track of that because I keep getting asked about it and I don't really have anything to say. So just to say that is a perennial issue. And then COG, I also was not able to attend their board meeting because I was out of town, but I got their briefing. I think the big thing with the COG is the federal government shutdown is a pretty big deal for them because they do a lot of federal pass-through funding for things like Meals on Wheels and transportation for seniors and folks with disabilities. And So last I heard, I think they tried to draw down additional funding from the federal government right before the shutdown to try to kind of like do some advance payments for some of those programs. And then they have a pretty healthy operating reserve that they're just kind of eating into, I think, with the anticipation that when the shutdown ends, they'll reimburse that. But if the shutdown drags on and on, that will start affecting their programs. And that would be a much bigger kind of issue, just because those are a lot of those kind of basic needs programs for folks who are older, disabled, or can't otherwise get that. So I think it's sort of a like very anxious calm, right? Like everything is still kind of happening, but people aren't feeling great about it. So yeah. Any other representative reports?
Kind of.
Sure.
I'm on the inclusivity committee, and we were, we look at ways to help underserved, and so we're doing the senior thing. And tomorrow in here, we're doing Medicare. And thanks to the Philomath News article, I've had 15 or 20 people call and say they were going to join us. So that's good, in addition to our normal people. So I'm anticipating a good turnout, and very thankful to RJS Insurance on Main Street, because we're going to talk about it, and I have a presentation ready. So it will be interesting. Yeah, but I'm happy
Yeah,
about
you're
it.
doing great work.
I just remembered, thank you. It was just yesterday, the Philomath Farmers Market, we, the Inclusivity Committee tabled and had some flyers regarding National Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month. And it was rainy, so there weren't as many people out, but we handed out some flyers and talked about the Inclusivity Committee as well, and so that was nice. But anyway, yeah.
And I would like to also recognize Alba Federline. She is on the Inclusivity Committee, and she's translating some of the materials into Spanish, which is an awesome resource. And she's going to be there to help with any Spanish speakers.
Did you have something?
I do, from Chamber.
Oh, yeah.
The Philomath Area Chamber of Commerce is doing a grand opening for County Line Flowers coming up on the 23rd of this month, 4 to 7. It's a new business right on Main Street. Excited about that coming. And that's all I have
They
from
need
that.
some big scissors.
That's
Although I
Scissors, but I don't think they're.
see, although I still need Chelsea to teach me how to.
It's a practice. Yeah, I did it. It was like,
Yeah, I'm still like
that's
that.
true. I caught knife through butter when I did it.
Anything else?
None of mine meant this.
Okay.
Nothing here.
Yeah, I have one more thing. Several of us were at the LLC, and
Yes,
I
how was
just
that?
thought that was the conference, I guess what it's called. And it was an amazing experience.
Okay.
I was inspired. Civility is the name, the buzzword now, because civility in government covered two of the sessions I went to, but it was really good. Well worth the time.
And since I'm going to make this in public notice, last month we had a Community Day of Service at the
Yes.
fairgrounds at Benton County. We had 23 nonprofit organizations from Benton County represented in booths around there. We had 500 people attend, which was a really good number for our area. And I thought it was a really good success. All the nonprofits left very content, happy with the volunteers that came in, the projects we had. Altogether, I think there were 17 service projects, from building park benches and picnic tables to making beds and nightstands for Benton food furniture share, to hygiene kits, mental health wellness kits. It was just a menagerie of service projects completed on that day between the hours of 9 and 1 by all the people that came and were able to do various service projects to benefit others, and also making that connection with nonprofits, with people in the community coming and getting to know what was available to them or how they can benefit or volunteer in those organizations to help as well. I thought it was a great thing. We served a lot of the people that were in charge of the meals said they went through all 300 hot dogs plus could have served more, but so it was a success. It was a lot of work, but a huge success. So we had Mayor came for a short time, and Gabe was Commissioner Shepherd was there, as was one of the city councilors from remember her name, sorry you were when you had a city councilor from Corvallis also attend. And Eric Neiman came, and you had a booth there.
It was well organized. I was very impressed, well received, and Teresa was on the planning committee for that. So she is very, very much to be recognized for a job well done.
Good connections. So, now things go.
Well, thank you very much for all your work on that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Final parting thoughts. Speak now, or forever hold your peace until 2 weeks from now.
We're doing another meeting. Oh,
Oh. Okay.
Okay. And are we doing trunk or treat?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Was that
Yes, we are.
Just email Crystal.
Okay.
You have questions?
Yeah, we'll have trunk or treat booth, we'll have candy, we'll have the booth for the canopy and come in costume and politically appropriate costumes. Pieces.
And can I really I've got another committee I'm on. Can I really clear the 27th of October as not having a meeting next night?
Yeah, we decided
I just need to.
the other meeting and decided we weren't.
the third is not
Yeah, the business meeting after that.
first Tuesday.
Yeah, we're moving it.
November 3rd is at the Citizens Academy graduation. Is it connected to that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Will not have one on the 10th.
So we will not have one on the 10th. The 10th is the day before
That's
Veterans Day.
Oh, that's right.
The 24th is still on our calendar. That's having a meeting
for November.
for November.
Yeah, that's that week of Thanksgiving.
That's what we just need to.
Because we all want to gather together. Thanks for such a great city council.
True, we have a lot to do there so far.
3 months.
On that note, should we adjourn? Okay.
Sounds like it.
Quickly.
Okay, well, we'll see you all back here on November 3rd. If we don't see each other before then. So, bye, Rich. Thank you so much. And